Hey guys, welcome back to Techify Zone tutorial number 5. In this tutorial, we are going to cover up if else conditions, conditional statements, loops, where in the loops we'll be deep diving into for loop, while loop, do while loop, and for each loop. These are the more crucial loops I will say in Java that we need to cover up to understand the looping conditions, to understand the iterations. Okay, but before going to the loop, let's talk more about conditional statements, which are like if else, ladder if, and switch cases. Okay, let's deep dive into it and let's quickly start with it. So, what exactly is if else? If I need to ask you guys if you have any idea about what exactly is if else, why we use it, I would say better to comment out in this particular in the comment section to explain your logics. If you have a different kind of mindset, or if you have a different kind of theory in your mind, which you can also relate with the if else condition, maybe that's also a correct one. So do comment it out in the comment section so we can discuss more on that too. Okay, covering up my topic, if else condition. Okay, if and else. Okay, so what is if and else? It's nothing else like, suppose I can relate with voting system. Okay, so voting system is like what? It has a condition. It has a condition that a person or eligible voter should be minimum age of 18. Okay, so that's a condition over there. So in the same case, if we have any sort of condition in your program that you want to relate with, then you need to use if and else. Okay, so suppose in the same way I have int age is equal to 19 over here, and I want to test whatever the person who is actually coming up for the voting is eligible with the age limit or not. So I will say if my age is greater than equal to 18. Why am greater than equal to 18? Because that person can be 18 or more than that. That's the condition. That's why in the last session we covered up operators. In the logical operators, we covered up all these, and every arithmetical operators, unary operators, we covered up all these operators. So this is also a logical operator which says your age should be either greater than or equal to 18. Then only you are eligible for voting. Okay. What if any person who is not with the age of 18, or he's actually less than age of 18, then that else condition will take. Else condition will say if you are not eligible, then you are not, you can't vote. Okay, so I will say not eligible for voting. So if I execute this program and my age is 19, so it will say eligible for 18 voting. So even if I go ahead with 18 age, still I'm getting eligible for 18 because it is greater than equal to 18. Okay, you're getting my point, because if we have mentioned greater than equal to 18, so that's why it's saying it's eligible, like it's passing that particular condition, and it is eligible for voting. Okay, okay, let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Yep, that's enough. So now let's talk more about now this was part about if and else. What if I have multiple conditions? Okay, so what if I have condition like I need to check which particular day of a week my user is entering. So my program is, suppose if user enter between 1 to 7, I will print that specific day. Else, I will say it's not a correct input. Okay, that's a condition. So in that case, I will say I have one integer value from the user, or else let's take it from user only. I'll be using scanner class. Okay, and I'll be giving directly from system. Okay, and I'll be taking int a is equal to sc dot next int. Okay, so in this case, I'll be accepting only integer values from the user. So now, if I need to use ladder if, now what is ladder if? In which case we have multiple if else conditions, but we can't use if else, if else, if else in that way. We need to use if else, if else, if else, else. I will show you. If my A is equal to 1, then I would say let's print out. Let's print it's a Monday. Okay. Else, if, because again we have a condition, we don't have any else right now, right? We again have a condition. My condition, if is A is equal to 2, then my sys out will be Tuesday, right? Now again I need to use if else A is equal to 3, sys out will be Wednesday. Okay. So let's stop the program right over here. And else, if any input if I'm getting out of these 1, 2, and 3, then my sys out will be not a valid input, right? So right now I have condition, if a user is entering 1, then it will get Monday. If user is entering 2, then it will get Tuesday. If user is entering 3, then output should be Wednesday. Else, what if it's entering 0, minus, negative, or greater than 3? Then the output should be not a valid input. Okay, let's go ahead and execute it. My user need to enter, sorry, not over here, over here, 3. Output is Wednesday. Again, I will go ahead with that. My user is entering 5, not a valid input. See? So even if I enter something else, like suppose if I enter -1, not a valid input. If I enter 0, not a valid input, because my condition is, if my A is equal to 1, then only it will go ahead with Monday. If my A is equal to 2, then only it will go to Tuesday. So now how exactly it is working from the backend perspective. Let's talk more about that. See, in this session, I will not be explaining only the topics. I'll be also giving you a grip of the backend architecture, like how it is working, so that you can relate with the compiler thinking. Okay, so let's talk more on that. So in this case, if my compiler will go ahead and operate the public static void main, right? So now go to the scanner class, it go to the integer, it accept an particular value from during the runtime, then it will come to if block. Now, if my A is equal to 1, if it is true, it will go to that particular block and then come out of complete ladder if. Okay. But what if my A is not equal to 2? Then it will again go to the else if. Then it will again go to the else if with the A is equal to 3. If my A is equal to 3, then it will print Wednesday, or else it will go to the else block. Okay. But what if we don't have any else block? Then will it, what we will get? Okay, let me comment it out to show you. See, comment it out, printing. And what if I have 4? Nothing, because I have nothing specified for any else. So technically, it's a very wrong condition. We need to specify an else block to justify our particular output. That if even if the user is giving me any negative or any input which is not included with my boundary, then it should get something to print, or then it should have something to showcase the user that you are giving a wrong input. Okay, so that's the concept of ladder if. I hope you guys get it. But this concept is, as per me, as per my personal experience, I would say use it if you have hardly like these three, maximum 3 or 4, not more than that. I wouldn't suggest that, because it actually consumes a lot of compiler time. Because compiler will go ahead from 1, from 2, from 3, and then to else, one by one. But what if we have plenty of it, like we have 50 options in which user want to select anyone? Then what if user is selecting 50th option? Then your code will be, compiler will be coming to the 1, coming to 2, and down to 50. How much time your compiler is wasting to particular compile the code? More else, how much time your Java runtime engine is wasting over there, right? So instead of wasting this much time, I have another solution for you. We call it as, let's we call it as switch cases. Okay. So what if I write it down like this? Switch A right? Case 1, because I am giving an integer as a input. If I was giving any string, if I was giving any character, in the same way, this could have gone like this. If I was giving a character, suppose, case A, okay, if I was giving a string, then it could have gone like this, like string or any name. Suppose I'm giving an input as Sumit. If my user is selecting Sumit, then this case should work. But right now in this example, we are giving as an integer. So we are giving it as an integer only. Okay. So now let's talk about integer, and it should print, or else let me copy it down from the above one. If my one is there, it should print this. Okay. Right now, I'm just completing the code to showcase you one more thing, which I have left it out in the switch case. Okay. Let me print change the number system, because you can't have a same case again, because it create a conflict. It, 7. Let it make it as a default. Okay. So now let me change the values as well. Wednesday, we have Thursday, we have Friday, we have our favorite Saturday, again our favorite Sunday. Now over here, I will say not a valid input for a weekday. Okay. So now my case is it will execute for sure. It will execute. If I give one as an input, it will execute. But there will be a problem in the execution. I will showcase you. Now, what if my user is giving one as an input? Technically, it should print Monday, right? But it will print all. See why it's printing all? Because what exactly happens is whenever compiler go to a switch case, it say, okay, input is one, case is one. This is executed successfully, but you have not added any break statement over here. So break statements are very important in the switch cases, because if you don't add any break statement, it will continue to go on to all the below options. Okay, so like this, you need to add a break in all of these cases at the end of all of these cases. Okay, or for all these cases, I have added a break. Now, if I execute again, now if I click on one, it will give me only a valid input, valid output, which is Monday. Now, there are multiple questions from multiple people. Like, what if we change the case number? What if we do like this? What if do like this? Case 6, 7, we just mismatch the complete hierarchy. We are just assigning the cases in a random fashion. Okay. Now, what if I do like this? Then what it will do? Will it skip all these? Because we are passing the case 6 and 7. So technically, as per the number system, it should go ahead with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to 6 and 7. Right? Technically, as per the number system. I'm not saying as per Java, but as per Java, whatever the order you have defined over here, it will go in that order. So it will go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, because I have skipped these breaks. So the compiler got the break at line number 2, at case number 2. That's why it stopped after Tuesday, right? So let me add the breakpoints again. Okay, now done. So that's more about switch cases. But don't you think it's very similar to ladder if, which we explained above? Then why we are using a switch case? As I told you before, guys, that for any big condition like we have 1 to 20, 1 to 10, or 1 to 50 input that a user can give in a different set of inputs, then it's always better to utilize a switch case rather than using a ladder if, because ladder if your execution time will be great, because it will go from 1 to 1. If this is true, okay, it's not true, go to else if, it's not true, go to else if. But in the switch case, it already knows which case it need to refer. It will directly jump to that case without wasting the time on case 1, case 2, case 3, like that. It won't waste the time. If you have case 7, it will directly jump to the case 7 and start printing the Sunday. It will not waste time on above. That's why it's always recommended to use the switch cases instead of going into the ladder if for a very bigger options. Okay. So if you have option hardly 3 or 4, then you can use ladder if. That's not a big deal. It won't hamper that much execution time. It hardly microsecond time will hamper, but not more. But if you have a very large number of code, 1,000 lines of code, 2,000 line of code, or even a very tons line of code you have, and you are using multiple switch cases in that, then for sure go ahead with the switch cases, and as you have multiple options. So that's more about switch cases. Okay. So let's now quickly jump to our second topic of the day, which is loops. Loops is very important, I would say. Very important. Because if you are going to be an automation tester, your logical thinking about loops should be very good. Okay. That's how you can save your time. You don't have to write your same code multiple times, or with the different inputs, with the different outputs that you are getting, you are writing different codes rather than writing up multiple codes, a similar kind of set of code with accepting a different set of inputs. Same time, try to go ahead with the loops. Execute the same code multiple times that you want as per your logical understanding and as per your business requirements. Go ahead with that. Why to waste so much lines of code, right? So what if I would say, okay, let me get this same scanner, right? Let me explain you first about how many loops we have in Java. So first one is for loop, okay. Second one is while loop. Third one is do while loop. And the fourth one, specifically in Java, we have for each loop. Okay. So let's talk about first. Let me talk about for loop. So syntax. Let me write down the syntax so that you understand it. First, you need to write down for brackets, two semicolons. First of all, okay, this indicates that we are not passing any condition. This we are not passing any prerequisite, or we are not passing any incremental or incremental load. Okay, this means if you use like this, it means your for loop is an infinite loop because you don't have any condition to break. The for loop syntax is perfectly fine, because the for loop syntax says there should be two semicolons and it should be divided into three segments. The first segment, the second segment, and the third segment. The first segment is your initializing block, where you initialize the variables which you are going to use in the for loop. The second segment says it's a condition, which is actually helpful to break the loop. If it's satisfying the condition, it will go under the loop. But if it's not satisfying the condition, it will break the loop. The third is for incremental or decremental load. How you are going to increment or decrement the variables which you have assigned in the first block. Okay. So now let me say int a is equal to, or else I will say a is already finalized above, or else I will say go ahead. Okay. Int I is equal to 0. Okay. I have initialized a I variable. Now I should be less than a. Whatever the input my user is giving, like how many times he or she want to execute this particular loop, I will say I should be less than a, because I'm starting the condition from 0. So technically, if my user is saying that you need to execute it 3 times, then it will be from 0, 1, and 2. Technically, it's executing 3 times only. Okay. If I do like this 1, then I need to do it like this. It should be less than equal to a. I plus plus. Why I plus plus? Because after every looping condition, it will increment the value and so on. It will go on and check the value. It's a kind of a reinitialization of your variable after every loop. So for loop, how it works? For loop works, these two conditions will work first, then the user will go on into this particular code block. Okay. Once code block is finished, once user has done the complete code block, then your I will be incremented. Then again it will come to over here. Like if I is less than equal to a, if it satisfies, then again it will go to the code block. Again it will increment it. So on until your I is greater than a. Once I is greater than a, it will terminate the loop. There are other ways as well to terminate it, but I will say right now let's focus on this one. Okay. So what if I need to print uh like this loop executing? I will say plus I time. Okay. Now save it. Now let me say I want to print this loop from 3 times. See, loop executing 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. Are you getting it? So my I variable was 1. I was less than equal to 3. That is true. It comes into the particular code block. It says loops executing first time. Now after ending this particular code block, once my compiler reach over here, it will increment it. Okay. So now my I value is 2. 2 is again less than a, right? Less than equal to a. Again printed the same thing, but my I value is 2. That's why it printed loop executing 2 times. Now again it incremented it. Now my I value is 3. 3 is less than equal to a, which is 3. Correct? Now again it printed loops executing 3 times. Now again it incremented I. Now my I value is 4, which is not satisfying the condition. So my 4 can't be less than equal to 3. That's why it break it and it came out of the execution. Now you're getting it how for loop is working. In the same way, you can have nested for loops, right? So suppose I want to have for int j is equal to 0 and j less than I, comma j plus plus. Okay. So j is equal to 0 and j is less than I and j plus plus. What I will do is just add a code block over here and I will write internal loop again print the j value. Okay, let's execute it. So how it will execute? I will say 3 again. So how it execute? Loop executing for the first time. So see, loop is executing for the first time. So I am valued my input is for a its value is 3, right? My I is equal to 1 less than 3, right? Correct. It's saying loop executing for the first time. That is correct. Now it came into the j loop. Now j is equal to 0, but I value is 1. Correct. So my 0 is less than 1. That is also correct. That's why I printed internal loop j, which is 1. Right. Now my j got incremented. Now my j is 1, but 1 is not less than 1. 1 is less than equal to 1. I will say or 1 is equal to 1, but 1 is not less than 1. That's why I break the loop and go out and incremented I. Now my I is 2. That's why we came at over here loop executing 2 times, and same goes for the internal loop is also executing 2 times. It executed 3 times. Internal loop is also executing 3 times because we have a condition to reach as j is less than equal to I. But what if I turn j is equal to 1? Then it will be a twist. See, loop executing 1 time, it didn't execute an internal loop. Why? Because j is equal to 1, but j can't be less than equal to 1. That's why it didn't execute it. It directly jumped to the another loop. Now I is 2, but j is 1. This is the reason why it executed once for your 2 times and 2 for your 3 times. Now you're getting it. This is the nested loop concept. This is the nested for loop concept. Okay, let's move on further. I hope you got it. If If still you need any of my assistance or any of my help to understand the loop concept in depth, do ping me, do comment in the comment section. Okay, to like the video, comment the video, and I will for surely reach out to you. Or you can reach out on the email ID which we have registered for this particular channel. We'll surely get back to you and we'll solve your query. Okay, thank you. Now moving on to while loop. What if I will remove the internal loop over here. What if I need to convert this loop only to a while loop? What I need to do? First, I need to correct the syntax. So for while, your syntax is while, and that block should only contain the conditional statement which you need to check. And your initialization should be on the top, and your incremental decremental load should be as a last line of your code block, like this. Okay. Now if I execute it for 3 times, the same result I am getting, right? So for loop is similar to while loop, but while loop we use mostly like over here where we have a condition directly conditional block inside it, and we have incremental and incremental load inside the code block, and where you can alter everything inside the code block. Okay, so that was very quick concept about the while loop. Okay, so while keyword, then you have to add the condition and then your particular code block, and at the last or in the middle as well you can increment or decrement the load. Okay, but the initialization should be on the top. Okay, you got it? Cool. There are other ways as well to break it. So let's use if condition over here. If my I is equal to suppose 2, right? I add a break. So break keyword, you already heard a break keyword functioning in the switch cases, which also stopped that particular switch case and came out of a case. In the same manner, break condition is working over here as well. The break keyword helps you out to come out of that loop. Either it's a for loop, do while loop, or for each loop. So now what if I give the value again as 3, but it's printing only 2 times because I have added if I is equal to 2, then it should break the condition. Now you get it. But what if I add a continue? Now how will it will act? But let me add a continue on top of this block. Okay. Now the output will be loop executing 1 time, loop executing 3 times, but it will skip the 2 times. Sorry. Okay. So I is less than equal to a, where a is this I plus plus. Okay. What happened is, I will say, what happened is when it reaches to the 2 block, okay, it directly came out to the next one, but it didn't incremented the load at that time. Okay, or else if I write the incremental and incremental property on the above, then what will it happen? Let's see. See, loop executing 3 times, loop executing 4 times. How it happened? Your I was 1. Okay, I less than equal to a, which means 1 is less than equal to 3. Correct. Now my I is plus plus, which already incremented. Now my I over here will came as 2. If I is equal to 2, I already skipped it. Right. Now my I value is 2. 2 is less than equal to a I plus plus. Now my value is 3. 3 is equal to 2. No, that's not correct. Now it printed up like this. Now it again went. Now 3 is less than equal to 3. That is correct. Again it came into this. Now 3 plus plus, which is 4. Now 4 is equal to 2. That's again incorrect. So again it printed like this. And then it came back over here. Now 4 is less than equal to 3. That is incorrect. That's why it break the loop. So you understand how it generated the output. So continue is a keyword which helps you to skip that particular loop. If I want to skip any of the loop in between, then I will use the continue block, and it will continue with the further iterations. Okay, but break will break the whole iteration. Doesn't mean how many iterations are pending. It will break the immediate loop. If you are using a break in a nested for loop, what if you are using a break in a child loop? then it will break the child loop, but it will not break the parent loop. So break is essential to break the immediate loop. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the other section. What if I remove this for the confusion? I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay. So now, what if this is a do while? Okay. Then your do block will be like this, and while block will be over here. Okay. So this is the syntax for do while. Your initialization again on the top, then do block. Do block means even if my condition is correct, because it's checking condition at the end. So even if my condition is incorrect, suppose I give it as like this, greater than equal to. Okay. Now what if I give the value as 3, but I is equal to 1, right? So technically I'm giving a wrong condition. So 1 is greater than equal to 3, which is a wrong one. But still it will print it one time because the condition is getting checked at the end. Okay, so these do whiles are always used where you have at least a prerequisite, which even if a condition is incorrect, there is a prerequisite to meet. Then you reach the prerequisite, then you start the actual condition. Okay, that's why we use the do while over there. Now, coming to the last one, which is also a very, very important one, I would say, and important one why? Because it's being used in the iterations of your collection classes. Okay. So suppose just not to go ahead with the array list and linked list right now, I don't want to confuse you. Let's create an array. Okay. Array concept I'll be covering up in the next session again. But let's move to array part. So int a is equal to new int 4. Okay. Or else let me directly print like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I will say like this, and let me, okay, I have a keyword, so array. Okay, let me print it like this, or else there is another way. You can print it like this as well. So this is the way to initialize the array. There are multiple different ways to initialize an array. Okay, so what if you have a array, okay, which is a collection of similar data type. Okay, I don't want to write an int a is equal to 1, int b is equal to 2, int c is equal to, because it will be creating and initializing a lot of variables. What if I initialize a single variable and put down all the values into a particular array data set? Okay, so now what if I don't know the actual size of it? Suppose I don't know the actual size of it, but I want to print all the series. What if I will do for, now this the data type is integer, so I'll be using initializing the same variable int b. Now the syntax is colon the array name arr, so block start, and now I print b, because what exactly for each is doing, the name actually states itself. For means one by one looping condition, each means each value of the collection. Okay, which means that it will be covering up each value of your collection one by one and picking it up one by one and storing into the variable on the runtime. So int b, which I have initialized over here, it's actually storing all the values one by one and printing it. So it's storing only one value at a time. So at the first it stored one, print it. Second, it when the second time when the loop is executing, it store the value 2. So it will continue the till the last element of the array. So that's why I said that if I don't have any idea about the size of the array, then I will use it. That's the best one. Or array or a linked list or any other collection class which you are using. If you don't have the clarity about the size, though you can get the size through the size method, but still, if you want to use a for each loop and just want to iterate the complete or just want to print the complete collection at once, then you can use the for each loop. Okay, and if I print it, it will print me 3, it will print me 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 5 because I have printed let me comment this out. See, it's printing me 1 2 3 5. I have had 4 as well. Okay, printing me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what if I add any character? Then what it will print? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 97, because I'm using an integer array. And if I'm passing down a character, it will automatically typecast and convert it to an ASCII value. So small a will have an ASCII value of 97, and the capital A will have the ASCII value of 65. Okay, so same goes for B. B will be having 66. See, it's converting everything into an ASCII characters. So that was about the loop concept. There are multiple combinations in the loop. Okay, you can. I don't have much time right now left, but I will show you just a very quick combination. Int a is equal to 2, comma, in comma, b is equal to 3, semicolon. A is less than equal to 5. That's a condition. Comma, a plus plus, comma, b plus plus. See, that's also a way that you can use multiple combinations, multiple variables in a single for loop. Now, what if I print it as this? B. Okay. So it will print me 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. It's actually having a condition as A less than equal to 5. If I add B less than equal to 5, then the output will be different. See, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4, 5. So whatever the condition is there for breaking this particular loop will help you to change the output. So that's also you can try. That was a quick tip for you for using a for loop in a different manner too. Rest, it's up to you how you want to utilize it, how you want to use it, and how you want to crack the code. Okay, that's all from Techify Zone, a tutorial which was consisting of conditional statements and the loops. In the next topic, stay tuned with us. We are going to cover up arrays. Okay, that's also very major and important topic that I am going to cover up. And then later on, we'll be more deep diving into the Java fundamentals and the different concepts. Okay, which will be covering up exception handlings, collection classes, and all. So stay tuned and keep learning, keep automating. And thanks again for staying up till now. Thank you so much.